Hi, so today we're diving into a website SEO audit for Suzanne from Inclusive Communication. So welcome, Suzanne. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Jules. Thank you so much for inviting me along.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into this with you. So hopefully by the end of this episode, we'll have identified some simple, quick wins for your website for just improving your SEO. But before we start, question I always ask is if we were to meet in 6 months' time and you were telling me about the amazing things happening in your business, how would your website and SEO be helping you with that?
I've given it, I think, as well as everything that's in place at the moment on the website, we'd want it to be a platform to showcase everything that we've already achieved. So the communication boards that are in place in schools and playgrounds and organisations around the country, so that it can be a place of trust. People can see other organisations that have used us and how successful their installations have been. So
That's
yeah,
fantastic. Trust is such a big part of SEO, and in moving forward into AI searches as well, then this is good. Trust is going to be such a big part of that as well. So that's a really good goal to have for your website, definitely. So before we start, tell us a little bit about your business and how your website kind of sits within your current marketing activities as well.
so we are a team of speech and language therapists, and we design and create bespoke communication boards. They go in schools, playgrounds, any organisation that wants to become more accessible to individuals who have communication difficulties. So our website, hopefully, it's the place where all of the information about us can be easily accessed. So from who we are, building up that trust about our specialist knowledge and skills, to how to contact us, and then some blog posts as well. So sharing information and education at the same time.
Fantastic. Sounds amazing. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start sharing my screen and we can have a little look at your website and just see
Okay.
what areas we can find for some quick wins and just some
Yeah.
things that you can kind of dive into really. Do you have someone in particular who does your website for you, or is it something that you do in-house?
It's in house. So it was, yeah, one of our first creations when we kind of came together. So it was a lot of time spent on it in the first few months. And I'll be honest, we haven't done much to it in the last kind of 6 months. We do have a blog post that's nearly ready to go, so that will be going on there. But as I say, we're hoping to add more photos onto it soon with reviews and people who've used us.
Okay, fantastic. So where are you getting
Yeah.
your reviews? Where are you gathering your reviews?
So we're sending out our link, like a copy and paste link for people.
Over to your Google business profile.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Love to hear that.
Yeah, and so that's what we're sharing them. And then obviously once we get them, they can hopefully be transferred onto the website and then shared in social media as well.
Yeah, it's good to do that. Definitely, it's good to collect reviews in different places as well. I'm all about Google business profiles, but actually, if there are other places within your industry that are relevant, like there might not necessarily be for every industry, but for things like hotels, you'd be wanting to get, yes, if you can get Google reviews, it's great, but maybe you'd want to get TripAdvisor reviews. If it was a plumber, you might want to be getting Trust a Trader reviews as well. So I definitely say focus on Google first, but actually, yeah, it's good to have to think of other places as well. And sometimes like it can be getting a few Facebook reviews or some LinkedIn reviews if you've got a company profile on LinkedIn. It's those kind of things as well that can also often be helpful. But yeah, it's good to focus on Google as well. We love a bit of Google. So looking at your website, there is one thing that immediately jumps out to me, and it's something that is SEO relevant. That was me squashing my words together. SEO relevant, but also it's an accessibility thing and a communication thing. And obviously, this is a big thing for you. That actually, your navigation menu here looks a bit small. So when
Okay,
we look
yeah,
at your website, I'm looking at it on desktop. Most websites people are looking on mobile nowadays, realistically,
yeah.
the majority of websites. And you can check that out if you've got Google Search Console, Google Analytics, you can see in there what percentage of people are looking on desktop and mobile. But most people, we want our websites to be very mobile responsive. So this is better on mobile. You can see here that actually easy to read, it's bigger. It's always worth making sure on mobile as well that you've got plenty of room for if people are tapping and they've got accessibility issues or they've just got bigger fingers, to make sure there's plenty of white space around and I say white space, I mean like just space basically
Yes.
around the items on a menu. If we come back to the desktop version, this font up here is
Yeah,
pretty small.
tiny, isn't it?
It is quite tiny, yeah. Google isn't keen. I'm just going to open my inspector and that might just tell me. So this is 14.4. Google isn't keen on any fonts below about 16 pixels. I
Okay.
tend to not use really much less than an 18, and it does depend on the font as well. Some fonts definitely look bigger than others, but I would be upping the size of that font immediately. Navigation menu is really important for our website. It's important if somebody comes into your website that they can immediately have a really clear journey. They know what to do, they know how to find the things that they are looking for within your navigation menu. So that's one that's like, it's just a
Yeah.
simple tip, but it's definitely something that you could do. I haven't looked to see if you've got small fonts anywhere else down the page. It looks like it's clear and it's just literally in that navigation menu there, really.
I seem to remember that was just a struggle we were having. Like,
Oh,
I don't think
okay.
we wanted it to be that small, but I seem to
Ah,
remember there was something about it all fitting on the page, or,
okay.
but I think that's something we can look at again. Maybe
Yeah,
get
that'll
some,
actually be a tweak. You're using a
yeah,
Squarespace website, so it will be a
that's right.
tweak in there. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that won't, it shouldn't be too difficult to do. One of the things I would think about if somebody's coming into your website is have you thought about what you want them to do? So when they come into your website, do they what action you actually want them to take? Is it to contact you or get a quote?
I mean, I guess it's mostly been about, well, firstly, like the education of what we do and who we are, and then the contact.
Mhm.
But again, if they're coming from somewhere like Instagram, I'm guessing it would be straight to contact because they might
Not
already have a bit of an idea about us.
maybe, but maybe not. I think we always, when with any page on our website, and especially this is your homepage, we always want somebody to be able to come into our website and within 3 seconds, like we say 3 seconds ideally, because people have such short attention spans, but we want them to know ideally within 3 seconds what you do, how you're going to make their life better, and what they need to do to get it. So don't assume just because somebody is coming from your website
Yeah.
and whichever page of your website they land on, we want them to not have to burn mental calories to understand what you do. Is it immediately clear? If somebody came in and they knew about us, or if somebody came in and they didn't, is it immediately clear what we do? And I think this is part of the problem we have is we have our own kind of curse of knowledge. You can't read the label from the inside of the jar, so you don't necessarily see that actually this could be clearer. This isn't immediately, sort of obvious of how we're going to help people.
Sorry, I did just have an idea literally as I was waiting for the call that because our kind of unique selling point is that we create unique, bespoke symbols that represent the playground equipment that's in people's spaces. I had an idea that we could do like a before and after, so a photograph of a specific tower with a slide, and then how Laura, our graphic lead, has produced that and made that into a symbol. Because then that's really easy for people to see, I know what this is all about and how they can make our playground look on the communication board. So I have been giving it a little bit of thought because I think, like you're saying, it's not straightforward when you land here, what it is that we can do for you.
Definitely. I love what you're saying there about having it is displaying it visually. I think that's really important. But what you've kind of described there is maybe taking it a step back and thinking about like why do people need it? Because we need to hook people in and help people understand why they need what you're selling. I think that's a big part of what you'll be doing is the education around that. So maybe either thinking of it as the problem that you're solving. So what is the problem that they have? Why do they need what you're selling? And having that there clearly straight away. So have you thought about this at all with your messaging? Have you done any work around your problems that you solve and who your ideal client?
Well, a little bit. So if you scroll down and down again, so I think hopefully our aims kind of make it clear about what we're hoping to do. And within that, a bit of that education as well.
Okay. So one of the things I would say is when we're thinking about our customers as well, we kind of want to make, and this goes for sort of everywhere on our website, and it's quite a common thing where we end up creating our website and talking about us and talking about what we do and our mission and those kind of things. Actually, what we want to be doing is putting the customer as the hero of the story. I'm a big fan of
Yeah.
Dr. Miller's Build a Story brand, and that's all about making the customer the hero and you are their trusted guide. And I very much think that this applies with what you're doing because they're not necessarily going to know why they need what you sell.
Yeah.
but you are the person to make sure that they get it right. So I would be thinking about that, thinking about, okay, what is their transformed state? How is their business going to be better, or how is their organization going to be better from what you're doing? Because that's not to say the aim part of it isn't important, because it absolutely is. And I think that's part of the mission part of it, definitely. But I would be thinking about what's the consequences of them not doing, not
Okay, yes,
getting what you're selling, basically, if that makes sense.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And it's not something you're not going to like literally solve this on, a 20-minute call. This is something that's going to take some time to think about.
Yeah, cool.
And just taking that step back, I would definitely recommend checking out Donald Miller's stuff. Like, he has a 5-minute marketing makeover video series, and it's really good. It just explains basically all of what I've just said about making the customer the hero, making it all about them. And this applies to any type of business, whether you're selling business to business or business to consumer. It always applies, I think, really. So you've got a bit there about the importance of being an accessible organization. What is inclusive communication? Who has communication difficulties? So, okay, so communication difficulties.
Maybe that could be higher up.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Again, this is the how. So
Yeah,
thinking about the why. Why would they want to do this? How is it going to help? And maybe that is taking that, like, how they help, how communication boards help. So
yeah,
for the organization,
yeah. So that's a
this,
tiny part, isn't it? And
yeah.
actually, what you're saying is that that needs to be front and center.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thinking about the problems that you're solving with this. And is it something that where it is a problem? Is it something that companies come to you, or is it something where you're having to educate them and show them the side? Probably a bit of both.
A little bit of both, but a lot of it, I would say, is about the education because obviously we are specialist speech and language therapists. We're aware of the communication difficulties that children and adults have in outdoor spaces. And so a lot of it is about the education and helping them to feel empowered that they are doing something and can do something to help.
Yeah. I would think about where you have reviews from people and where businesses and organizations have used your services and what it's done for their business. Think about that as well. When you're trying to think of the language people would be using around that, then definitely have that in with your messaging as well. There's lots of potential. And even though you've had your website live for 6 months, it's still quite early on. You're still early on in getting this messaging right. And it will evolve, it will tweak over time. But ideally, what we want is something here that sort of is going to grab their attention here in terms of why they need you. I would definitely have that in there, really.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Good, good. So when we're thinking about like the structure of your website, because obviously we said we want to sort of focus on SEO, but I think a big part of that is actually getting that language there, getting the language of what problems you're solving, those sort of core topics, the things that you need to be talking about. If you're launching a blog and if you're writing blog content, then you want those blogs to be, again, speaking to the problems that you solve. You can certainly talk about your mission and those kind of things in your blog posts as well. But all of this language, it needs to be the things that people are actually typing into Google that's going to help them to connect with you. It's sort of it sounds pretty basic, and it is really. It's all we're doing when we're trying to get our website showing up on Google is working out what we not want to show up for, working out what people are actually searching for in relation to that, and then working out which page of our website is the best one to get that across, really, and then optimizing that page, really. So when you come into the site here, I would say definitely, I mean, this area above the scroll, above the fold, the bit when we first come in before you start scrolling down the page, and the same with this on mobile as well, is the most valuable space on your website. This is the bit where we need to hook them in. We need to get that message across. We need to get some trust across there as well. And I would certainly say on the desktop version, I would be making this navigation menu a lot smaller. We can often end up making our logos look very big, but actually most people don't care about our logo. No one cares about our logo as much as we do. They've not put a
Yeah,
thought into
okay.
it, basically. So I would think about maybe making this a little bit smaller. So you're going to make the font size bigger on the navigation menu, but make the menu itself actually smaller and just use this space in sort of a more effective way, really. And maybe if you start thinking about the problems or thinking about that transformed state, so thinking about how it helps and whether that is things like making staff communication easier or those kind of things, maybe you could have that here, so you could have one headline, so where you've got enabling communication everywhere, you'd have that as a headline in this hero section here, And then maybe underneath it, you could have some icons of the problems that you solve or that transform state, depending on which way you want to sort of go with it, really.
Great idea. And then they're there, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And it gets it across visually. Obviously, you want to have the words there as well. So you do need it in the actual copy on the site, the words, but having that with visuals and especially for your business as well, obviously that's important that
Oh,
that is comes across
absolutely.
well, really. So looking at the actual structure of your site, because this is always important for SEO as well. This is a little plugin that I use. It's a Google Chrome plugin called AIO SEO, all-in-one SEO, and I'll link to that in the show notes for this episode. What you can do with this is you can just download it on Google Chrome and it helps you to see like the back end structure of your website. I talk about this in almost every episode of the podcast that I do, about the fact that we need our website to be laid out as if it was like an English essay. So if I come over to the headings tab here, we can see that we've got a H2, then a H1, then a H4, then a H2, then a H4, and then lots of H2s.
Okay.
Ideally, what we want to see is we want to see one H1 heading for every page of our website. And ideally, that would be the top. So if you think about your English essay, you would have one headline, one heading, and then everything else would come naturally underneath that. So then you would have some H2 headings underneath that. And then maybe you would have a H3 within that. The H1 would be your main title. The H2s would be your subtopics, your subtitles. And then maybe you'd have some H3s within that if there were some subtopics within that. So ideally, we want it to follow that natural hierarchy. I think this is more important with your business than any other business I've probably spoken to, because it's not only for the bots that read through your website. So whether that's Google bots or AI bots or whatever is reading through your website and trying to understand where to rank it, it's not just for that, it's also for accessibility as well. So if somebody is using a screen reader to read your website, that hierarchy helps it to read it in a more structured way and to understand it better as well. So that's something that is going to become more important than ever with AI search. It's something that I can usually tell if a website has had any SEO work done on it from the fact of how their heading structure is or the site structure is. And it's
It's
something.
really clear that, yeah, ours does not have that. I can see from the structure you're showing me on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not the worst one I've seen, definitely worse ones. And unfortunately, the website builders do set us up to fail with this a little bit. So we tend to use it for making it look pretty, but actually it is that back end code that it is then producing behind that that then is the important part of it, really. And what you'd want to be doing with this is thinking about, as your homepage, think about the most important thing that you want your business to be showing up for on Google. And generally, that would be the target keyword for your homepage. So that's always good to have a target keyword. It's not always necessarily easy on the homepage, but if you were thinking about, like, if you'd written a blog about inclusive communication, then and that was what your target keyword was on that page. So you were trying to get that particular blog post to rank on Google for inclusive communication, then you would want to have that within the headline and within at least one subheading to have that in there. And then thinking about other ways you can explain that. So either similes or related terms, those kind of things, how you would have that in there as well. But that's something that you could do as a fairly easy way to actually update your website and make it more readable by Google. Do you have Google Search Console or Google Analytics
No,
up? So
no.
I would definitely recommend doing that. If you need some help with that, I have a little short course on my website that you can go to and check that out. It talks you through how to set up both Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Google Analytics is the one that tells you where people have come from and like once they've landed on your website and what they've done once they're there. Whereas Google Search Console tells you how Google understands your website and what search terms it's relating to your website. And there, you can check in there to make sure that there aren't any issues with Google actually indexing your website as well. So what I've done is gone to a Google search and I've typed in site colon and then your website address. And what this is then going to do is tell me how many pages roughly Google is indexing. So as Google has put into its index and is available to be shown in search results. So you've got about 24 results in there. So like no one else is going to go and do that for your website basically, but it's worth looking at this because then you can see some of this back end stuff that ideally you don't want that showing in Google. So
Hmm.
blog one, you don't want pages indexed in Google saying blog one.
Yeah. And this one here, appointments. What's that? That's not even our stuff.
So I can't get an appointment with you for $199, right?
No, what? I don't even know what that is. I've never seen that page.
So this is connected up. You've got Acuity Scheduling, which is a scheduling software. For some reason, you've got that hooked up to your website and it's offering to book an appointment. And it's even got a
Wow.
calendar on there as well. So
Oh my goodness, I've never seen that in my life.
I love it. I love it when we come across stuff like this. It's like, okay, yeah, I need to sort that out as a priority. Yeah. Pop into
And I,
Squarespace and try and turn that off if you can.
yeah, I'm sure when I've gone in to edit it, I've never seen that, but
Yeah,
we'll find
absolutely.
out why it's there.
So it's on your, what page is it? It's so you've got a page called appointments in the back end of your website. So that's it.
Wow,
You can
thank
find.
you, Jules.
Oh, I love it when we see stuff like this. But yeah, what we would want to be making sure in here is that what's showing up here is what you want it to be, really. And the good thing about having Google Search Console is you can see what pages Google has actually put into its index. You can make sure that you've got your sitemap submitted there as well, and that everything's basically the way that you want it to be, really. So if we are looking at this, the blue link is basically your page title, and the bit below it is your page description. So if I come back to your web page and fire up my little AIO SEO, you can see that your page title you've got set for your homepage is your website address. So that's something I would definitely suggest. In the back end of Squarespace, you'll see something where it either says title, page title, SEO title, or something like that.
Hi.
You can go in and change that. And ideally, what you would want to have in here is whatever you decide you want your homepage to mostly be showing up for on Google, whether that is inclusive communication for brands or inclusive communication for organizations. Definitely come up with some. I'm not a copywriter, so come up with something that's better than that, basically. But you would want to put that in your title and then ideally include a page description as well. So the page title up to about like maximum 70 characters if you can. Normally around 60, 65 is good to use. Page description is up to 155. I normally say about 135 seems to be the ones that Google prefers, so put that in there. And Google doesn't always respect your description for the page. So if you put something in there that doesn't actually really talk about what that page is about, Google may rewrite that in the search results. And obviously that's part of what we were seeing there is that this is your homepage and Google has basically just taken some of the information from your homepage and showing that in that page title
Oh,
there,
yeah.
really. But yeah, definitely could go in and do that. And if you do that for all of your pages on your website, that immediately will give clearer signals to Google about what your business is about, what your website is about. And I think that's probably the most important things you could do right now. It's
Yeah.
just going through, looking at the structure of those pages, so looking at the headings and just correcting that part of it, correcting your page titles and descriptions, and then just taking that step back and thinking about the broader messaging, really. So.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Any questions about that? Anything at all that sort of has, obviously, apart from the fact that you don't have acuity scheduling and that's on there, but anything else that's jumped out at you or anything?
No, it's just, yeah, thank you, because there's so much that we just didn't know. Because, like you're saying, you just trust that like the page, the Squarespace, are kind of setting you up for success because
Yes.
everything is there. The tools all seem to be there, and actually, there's so much more behind it that will help with our visibility. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But the big thing that I see with most businesses is just taking it that step back and really thinking about, okay, what do we need to be showing up for and sort of going from there, really, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Any other questions or anything? You
No,
feel like you've got plenty to do now,
I
anyways.
really
Getting
do.
started.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But all good stuff.
Absolutely. And it's all just, as I say, this is all a work in progress. Never think of your website as being done because it's something that it's the asset, it's an asset for your business. And actually just keeping on working on that over time is
Yeah.
so valuable. We spend so much time pouring our energy into our social media and we don't own that and it could go away tomorrow and it's not necessarily an asset for our business. But actually, I see this so often where people are really clear on their social media about what they do and how they help people, but then you go to their website and it's like, well, this is a different story here. I don't know I don't know what's going on here, really.
Absolutely. And I can already see that, like our little tagline on Instagram, that can be our page description. It's there, we've got
Yeah.
it already. So,
And maybe that needs to be your headline on your homepage as
yeah,
well. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. Have a look at what you've got available elsewhere. And it might just be a case of bringing that in as well, really.
yeah.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
So before we finish, I would love you to give yourself another little shout out and let everyone know specifically what you do again, and more importantly, where they can connect with you and find out more.
Yeah, so we are inclusivecommunication.co.uk. We create and design bespoke communication boards for your space, whether that be a school playground or a playground of a local council or an organisation, to support the accessibility for individuals who have communication difficulties. So yeah.
Fantastic.
And you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well, Inclusive Communication.
Brilliant. Fantastic. I love the fact that you shared your website first as well. So well
done.
Of
course.
Absolutely. I think that's something else that we can often forget about doing, is that we always send people to our social media rather than sending them to our website, but actually that once they're on social media, they're off scrolling. So actually, if you are ever sharing, it's always a good thing to share your website, because people will scroll down to the bottom and actually look for your social media icons, but actually if they're off on socials, then they're kind of gone, aren't they, really?
Down the rabbit hole.
They're watching cat videos or something, I love it. So if this episode has made you think about your visibility and getting your SEO in action on your website, and you'd love some more help around that, then book a power hour. We can dive in, we can have a look at your analytics, we can have a look for quick wins like this. We'll dive in and just see where you need to focus and getting your website working for your business. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Suzanne, for being here, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.